Human Target season premiere. It's back after lots of anticipation and some anxiety, but ultimately excitement. At the beginning of this episode, we get our first previously on Human Target. You know, because there was a plot in the season finale. We see a bearded man come in and, like, kidnap Winston. You see Chance asking Guerrero, you know what to do, right? And Guerrero says, we're gonna get him back. They conveniently leave out the line, see you on the other side, but that's because they want you to forget that Chance and Guerrero were ever separated. Because they also want you to forget any involvement of the old man in the season finale.
What old man?
If they'd had to use a shot that the old man happened to be in for the recap of the previously, they would have, like, superimposed this generic smiley face over Amanda Sante's head.
It was annoying. It already spelled trouble for me.
So now the conversation that Guerrero and Chance have is, you know what to do, right? Rescue Winston? Yeah. We start off with Bearded Man, who is never gonna get a name, I guess. And Winston, they're in this back of a van. And poor Winston is, like, covered in sweat and somewhat bloodied. So Bearded Man says, I am sorry that it had to come to this, what you had to go through in these last 48 hours to tell me the truth. Okay, so
48 hours?
Sure sounds like a lot happened off screen.
Exposition.
Thanks for that, Bearded Exposition Man. So Winston's escorted by Bearded Man and Bearded Man's goons into this bank, where I guess is where Winston's keeping that book that they were looking for last episode. And then Chance shows up, but without any noise. He flirts with this bank teller, Denise, before he pulls out a gun very casually and asks her politely to set off the alarm. So then we see Guerrero show up, and he's communicating via invisible Bluetooth with Chance. He sees Winston and Bearded Guy and the goons, and he tells Chance to hurry up. So Guerrero and Chance are together again. Okay. So I guess see you on the other side meant see you on the other side of that body of water after you shoot the old man and his pilot in the face and jump out of the helicopter. Like, if the camera had been on for like one more minute, we would have seen that. So then Winston and the Bearded Man, I guess they get the book, and Winston asks, what is in that book? So I guess he never looked at it in the 6 years he's had it locked up.
That makes no sense. What if it was blank?
It's a journal.
It's recipes.
I guess it was the old man's black book. So then Bearded Man's just like, things the audience does not need to know. Secrets. It's a secret.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Okay. Hey guys, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. It's a secret. Anyway, Denise sets off the alarm, but it's a silent alarm. Chance is like, are you serious? Just shoots the alarm bell with his gun in front of everybody. And it goes off, blaring. So now there's a standoff, and the guards are like looking at Chance and Guerrero like, what's going on? And Guerrero's like, these guys are robbing the bank. And then they're like, oh, okay. And Bearded Man says, oh, wait a minute. And he like reveals that Winston has a bomb wired to his chest, right? Poor Winston. So Chance is like, Winston, I'm sorry for whatever happened between these 2 seasons. Cause I have no idea what that might have been either. But mostly I'm sorry about Aunt Susie. Apparently in Aunt Susie is when you shoot the hostage in the shoulder to get them out of the way and distract the bad guy. Sorry, Winston. So blam! Chance shoots Winston in the shoulder. Bearded Man's like, what? And then Guerrero shoots the detonator out of Bearded Man's hand, along with a couple of fingers.
Since when did
the
Human Target get all bloody?
It was weird because it wasn't just implied. He just waved his hand around, his fingerless hand around, dripping blood everywhere.
Putting it in front of the camera. Look at it!
We have money for effects now.
So Bearded Man, he's very tenacious. He grabs the book and he tries to outrun Guerrero's bullets, but that somehow doesn't work out. Bye, Bearded Man. I'm sorry we never got a name for you. I like your beard, and I like your haircut. When did you get that?
And then, what happens to the book after that?
Whatever.
We don't even see that. Just
Doesn't
pay
matter.
no attention to the random
They hope
book.
we forgot about it.
I don't know.
It's kinda
Nobody
like
cares.
Black smoke from Lost.
So anyway, Bearded Man's goons, they surrender and they put their guns down after Guerrero screams at them, while Chance tends to Winston. Winston's like crying and he's like, I don't want to die. Do you know how to defuse this bomb? What do you think, Winston? No, Chance doesn't know how to defuse the bomb.
Why don't they ask Guerrero?
Guerrero's too busy tucking the book under a rug or something. Don't need to worry about this. Chance says, either way, this is goodbye. Winston's like, what? And then Chance defuses the bomb. Hooray! And then Chance vanishes into thin air.
He blends in.
Winston opens his eyes and Chance is gone. Winston is like, wait, where's Chance? And Guerrero says, dude got too attached. That's the last you're ever gonna see of Chance. So then Winston and Guerrero leave together and Winston's like looks over the bank heartbroken before he leaves. And, I'm sorry, wasn't getting attached the entire reason that Chance got into the role of Christopher Chance? He got attached to Catherine Walters and she got blowed up. Like, that was the whole reason, right?
Yes, it was.
Mhm.
Right. So back at HQ, Winston is sweeping up. It's all messed up from the last episode where everybody broke through the windows and the doors exploded off. Winston sees Carmine and he's like, oh, he left you too, huh? More believable actions from Chance.
Yeah, I'm gonna abandon the dog. That's the only link I have to my dead girlfriend.
He would at least have found a sitter or left a note, left Carmine in a basket with a bonnet on some door.
Oh my god.
I guess Chance was traumatized by all that Winston torture we didn't see. So he just abandoned all principle, ran away, left the dog, and all his friends. So this dude, he comes in with his posse and he says that they're looking for Christopher Chance. And Winston says, gone. They don't get what that means. They're like, when will he be back?
Yeah, but they should get it. The apartment is trashed, and you say the guy's gone. Either he's dead, or something bad happened to him. Like, get it.
Winston says that Chance flew the coop, left no forwarding address, etc. And then he exaggerates a lot, and he says that Chance might as well be dead, and you can search to the ends of the earth and you wouldn't find him. I highly doubt that.
Everyone finds him.
So Hilo has this, like, Caruso moment where he puts on his sunglasses and he's like, we'll be sure to check the ends of the earth. Yeah! And Winston's like, wise ass. 6 months later, we're in Nepal on a mountain, and Chance is meditating at this ashram. And the dudes at the ashram who are, like, supervising meditation, they say that Chance has been in deep med for, like, 3 days. And they look suitably impressed by that.
I don't believe that Chance would be able to sit still for 3 days in a row.
Ilsa's chopper interrupts this peace and bliss. It lands on the grass, and then her lady legs emerge from the helicopter, and I love her shoes. Ilsa comes over to Chance, and he opens an eye, and Ilsa says that she's been sitting in a helicopter for like 6 months, and he better be worth it. And then the new theme song plays.
And then we cry.
Do not like.
Oh, it's terrible.
Anyways, that's the new theme song. Seriously, what? Alright, okay, moving on. Back at the ashram, there's this replay of Ace Ventura when nature calls. Ilsa asks Chance to come work for her, and Chance is like, oh no, I'm not gonna work for you. Ilsa makes some allusion to his haunted past, so I guess some things never change. Then Chance gets kicked out of the ashram. Like, dude, go. So, back at HQ, Ilsa, Hilo, Chance, and Winston have this awkward elevator introduction, and Winston still seems pretty pissy about Chance flat leaving him, so I'm guessing those baked goods are not for Chance. So they have this meeting in the HQ conference room. Ilsa says that her husband was killed. Ilsa's guards a few weeks ago spotted a tail that she had, and this guy was a pro and took out one of their men. So Chance says, like, none of that makes sense. I don't know if that's meta writing. He says a pro wouldn't have been spotted by them in the first place, and Hilo takes offense to that. Ilsa thinks maybe that guy wanted to be discovered. So Chance asks, so why would an assassin want to be discovered? It's a good question that I don't think we ever get an answer to.
It doesn't make sense after all.
In the meantime, they're gonna throw this big charity party where Ilsa is just basically a human target. So Chance is like, so we throw a party and hope somebody tries to kill you. Chance is very flippant. What happened to all that inner peace you obtained?
You can't take it with you. You have to leave it at the monastery.
Ashram.
Ashram.
Anyway, Hilo thinks that's a really bad idea, which makes me think that he never read the dossier and Chance and Co. He thinks that just Winston and Chance aren't enough. So Chance is like, you're right, that's ridiculous. And then Winston says they have another guy. And then there's this Guerrero intro. Guerrero's rolling around in this black Cadillac, and there's rock music to signify that he is in fact cool. Phone rings and he picks it up and goes, talk.
He just needed sunglasses and the turned cap.
And then he does the Guerrero rap. So it's Chance on the phone, so Guerrero goes, for you, bro, always available. Hey dude, welcome back. Good to have you home.
Bro.
What happened to dude?
Guerrero pulls over and he's got this guy in a trunk and he says, well, it's your lucky day, dude. And he just dumps the guy out in the alley. Anyway, we're at the party, Richter. Chance and Winston are dressed to the nines in their tuxes. And then Chance asks Winston, do you have that little, he's talking about the invisible Bluetooth. Probably something to check before you leave HQ.
I mean, it's invisible. How do you know if you have it or not?
Winston mimes handing him something. Yeah, he's got it. Ilsa shows up and she looks gorgeous. She's wearing this beautiful white dress. Wait till Guerrero sees it.
He's been waiting his whole life for a dress like that.
Waiting
Say nice dress, too.
Chance steals Guerrero's line, says nice dress. And he says killing her should be fairly easy for anyone who tries. And Ilsa's like, yeah, and I made sure it's white too, so the blood really stands out. Ilsa's like, so what do I do? And Chance just says the only rule is do exactly what I tell you. Ilsa's like, oh man, I'm a strong-willed woman. I hope that doesn't cause any trouble. Then the bad guy shows up. I mean, Ilsa's lawyer, but obviously.
You take one look at the guy and you know that that's him.
His name is Shelley, and he's the skeeviest lawyer that you could possibly hire. And then Guerrero strolls in with this gigantic gun. Security goes nuts. I wonder how he got through all those other doors he must have had to go through. Guerrero says Ilsa is beautiful, but I'm not sure if he means the dress. Maybe he does mean the dress because he also takes this inexplicable interest in her jewelry, and he says, sweet ice.
He was very creepy. The other times, he just looked at them once and said, oh, nice dress, or whatever. But this time, he was, ugh.
They're just drawing attention to the ring. Ilsa gets a hot rating from Guerrero, and he says something about seeing if somebody wants her dead, and then he rolls off. And Chance says that Guerrero's got a dark sense of humor, and, he reassures Ilsa. Even though I'm pretty sure Chance also made that same joke in the previous scene that they had. Then Ames shows up, talking in the loudest, most conspicuous voice possible, and wearing a really unconvincing blonde synthetic wig with bangs. Really?
Why was the guy so incompetent? I mean, really. I'm gonna make sure the guy at the door knows who his boss is. He can't get fooled by an idiot in a way.
So Winston takes notice of Ames's entrance because, again, she was really loud. Winston tells everyone, be on the alert for blonde Ames, but oh snap, she changes in the elevator, puts on half a dress and some lip gloss, and she shakes out her dark hair. She's hot. Guerrero is on the roof with a sandwich, so his eating habits apparently made the short list of things to keep for season 2. Anyway, this humble villager approaches Chance and Ilsa, and he thanks Ilsa for this hospital that her husband built in Karachi. And Chance thinks that dude is an assassin based on his fancy shoes and dialect, and he tells Winston to check out that guy. So then Shelley comes over and introduces Ames, so yeah, he's the bad guy. And then Ames handshakes Ilsa for like 5 minutes. And Chance is like, there's a girl shaking her hand for like 5 minutes. So Chance is staring at that. Meanwhile, Winston tells Chance over the invisible Bluetooth that Pakistani dude's wearing his brother's shoes and he was born in Afghanistan, so he's okay. He asked the dude, like, are you bad? And the guy was like, no. And Winston's like, oh, okay. Ames is still shaking Ilsa's hand, so Chance finally whisks Ilsa away and starts dancing with Ilsa as he tries to figure out if she is now dying from poison. If she is, I don't know what he could do about that.
The dancing will shake it up.
Winston is tailing Ames. Winston's like, don't run, but then Ames makes a break for it, and Winston's like, to chase her. So Winston gives chase, and there's this funny exchange between Winston and Guerrero as Winston gives him Ames's description, and Guerrero's like, you sure you need some help there, Winston? And Winston says, I'm simply describing the perpetrator at an approximate rate of travel, wise ass. I'll catch her. And Guerrero's like, yeah, I know, if she stops for a bite to eat, you'll catch her. And come on, Guerrero, you would totally do that.
Yes.
So, of course, Ames actually does go into the kitchen, and she runs into Guerrero, who I don't think was specifically looking for her. I think he was just looking for another sandwich. But Ames goes, are you security?
He really does look like security.
He looks like a random dude with a gun strapped to his back.
Sounds secure to me.
He doesn't even have to say yes. He just barely nods. Yeah, security, whatever. So Ames starts saying, there's a guy chasing me. I think he's gonna kill me. And Guerrero's like, oh my god, where? And then Guerrero punches her in the face.
It's very wrong to hit a woman, but
he subdued the perpetrator, that's all.
And it was awesome.